All right, so simultaneous with this event, we couldn't be at both, but we are at both. We're also at Black Hat, and I just wanted to have kind of a fun time now and discuss some of the vulnerability issues that we've identified and added into our Air Magnet enterprise and our security systems. So we're going to have Warren Blackwell and Richard Q join me for this, but oh yeah, give me just a sec. I want to do a slide here. Unique to the industry, an aspect of Air Magnet Enterprise. So we took this Airwise and put it as an analytic blob in our sensor line, which overlays the APs that you all have installed for whomever, and we modified it not long ago to allow dynamic threat updates. So not unlike your virus profiles that come down when new vulnerabilities are discovered, our security and performance analysis system is capable of measuring or is capable of dynamically downloading the latest vulnerabilities and profiles and identifying those alerts. So this slide indicates that we can quickly, within a couple of days or a couple of weeks, and again, unique in WIPs and WIDs, wireless intrusion protection, wireless intrusion detection capabilities. We're the only ones with dynamic capability. And so just for an example, we can detect Parrot AR drones and detect Google Glass. Say we're anybody to enter the room with Google Glass. So we are thorough in our intrusion detection capabilities because there are real threats coming from glass and drones, actually, with high definition recording capability from distances, and we want to at least alert people that those are flying in the area. And they go on, they either connect to Wi-Fi or using Wi-Fi as a control mechanism between the drone and the system itself. So without further ado, I'll turn it to Richard Q. By the way, at Black Hat, we are, well, he's hooking up. At Black Hat, we have said, any comers, come break our system. So, you know, we know the nefarious types can go, and hopefully we'll get real guys that can try to break our system. But we threw down a challenge to the industry and have a full half day of description of performance, Wi-Fi performance and Wi-Fi security there. Richard.
I was going to say, you know, from an IDS IPS, especially when you start talking about analog video, it's always been sort of a pipe dream to have your IDS platform show you the analog video stream that's being transmitted. You know, can you speak to that? Because people have been talking about that for basically like the past 10 years, or you know, or so. I mean, that seems like it would be a really sort of
So you're talking about Lawful Intercept, is the way we position that. Lawful Intercept.
Especially when you're talking about drones with an analog video affecting your wireless LAN.
No, we're not intercepting analog video now. I mean, I can envision that it could be done, but you know, we're not doing that. We can tell you that there's video streaming, but not show you the content with at least these systems. I mean, on wire, we are capable of playing back voice calls in Lawful Intercept and playing back video streams on a different product line, but not with this. We're talking about alerts here mainly. All right, Richard. Okay.
Yes, good morning. I'm Richard Q. And my colleague Warren Blackwell. We're principal engineers at Air Magnet working on the products. What we're going to demonstrate today is a couple of the threat updates that Dave explained that we have released. Just to recap, the AME monitoring system has the ability to receive these updates when we release them without needing to rev the software or reload anything. So they operate very much like an antivirus signature files where you get a periodic update. So what we have in this building is the building is wired with our sensors. We're looking at the AME console, and so what I've selected is one particular sensor. Warren is going to be flying the drone, and he's also going to be wearing a pair of Google glasses, and so we're going to see the system actually generate an alert that's going to be displayed on the screen here, but it could be sending a notification, sending a text message. So if you'd like to he is a little bit an inexperienced operator, so if the drone comes near your head, do duck. And there are some papers being presented at Black Hat this week, specifically on the dangers and the techniques that people are using to use the video streams to detect the passwords and things that people are entering. So even though you may think that the drone can't see your hand on the keypad, just by the shadows that are being cast by your hand, they can actually pick up and do the keypad recognition just from the shadows using the image processing from the photo. So it's actually very much easier than people have thought in the past. So what we see here is that we've detected the drone flying. We do detect whether you are simply controlling the device or whether there's actually streaming traffic. So we do enough of an analysis on the packet stream to be able to detect the different types of traffic which are being generated. Simultaneous with that, we also detected the pair of glasses that Warren put on and switched on, so he could have been taking video. Interestingly, you may notice that there's actually two pairs of glasses that have been detected. So in actual fact, at 9:45, we did detect Blake walking in the room, and he was wearing his glasses. Shortly after he walked in the room, we detected his glasses.
So I guess I gotta ask, because to be completely blunt and honest, this is stupid. Why do you not detect smartphones? Because they have been the risk for years. I mean, honestly, it is easier to capture things with this camera than it is with this. I got to be honest. I mean, I've been wearing this for a year and a couple of months now. It is much easier to do nefarious things with this camera than it is ever with this one. So why? But that's a good point. Is that it's you're looking at this from the standpoint of one device has caught all the flack, where Ben's got a watch on that has a camera in it too that could be doing all the same things. Why is there all of a sudden this push to spend R&D dollars on this when there's other things that could be fixed?
And can I add to that? I think it's a social gap, right? Yeah. I think the media has really driven this to the point of, chaos.
Yeah, I think it's
some restaurants
public
are even
policy
stopping
stuff.
the
Yeah.
use of wearing
People
glass.
just worried about the perception of like, oh my gosh, it's new. It's a fear thing. People fear what they don't understand.
I mean, the drone is a legitimate thing because just where was it? The prison just the other day where they were trying to bring in drugs. I'm like, that is awesome because I mean, way to go for trying to use a clever use for the technology. I mean, you got to give them credit for it. So the drone seriously is a potential risk, and it is a big risk of not just stealing things with the camera image, but it's just what the drone has the ability to do. That is an actual serious risk, which is pretty cool and interesting that you're looking to figure out how to detect that. But the other side of the things is with the smartphones.
Well,
and stuff,
we do detect and classify smartphones. I mean that has been there for a while, and we can baseline and say who's good in the space and who's new to the space. So we definitely do that. Google Glass is not a lot different than that. You're absolutely right. We are capturing au courant, right, with some of these efforts. Because we had dynamic threat updates, it wasn't a birthing experience to get this technology out in front of users, and so we want to offer the notion and see what sticks. But we do have smartphones.
Yeah, and I think
and you're just
what
doing
you're
a MAC
raising
address
is a key point about people are talking about the Internet of Things and wearable devices. I mean, these issues which these two devices sort of are at the forefront of and are fairly visible, certainly the glasses are just the tip of the iceberg of issues that we will need to be addressing.
Is this going to lead into detecting iBeacons and Bluetooth Low Energy?
Yeah, I mean, what's your algorithm for detecting that it's Google Glass? Because Google Glass actually is technically, the OUI is owned from Google Fiber, so depending on what happens on that.
As you know, we're Wi-Fi guys, so we're the proximate things to the Wi-Fi space we're going to be better at, except for using spectrum. We do use spectrum to identify interferers or nearby things in some cases, but we'll always be on top of the Wi-Fi things. The other things are, we may or may not be able to.
But that's what I'm saying.
Add,
is like,
whether it's Zigbee or
if you're just using MAC addresses, somebody can just spoof a MAC and start setting off alerts, and then you send somebody into a dizzy and they shouldn't even be in one. I mean, if George deploys in the hospital because the hospital directors are saying, okay, this is a huge concern, we need to do this, they just walk in there with a MAC generator and just sit there and destroy his alerts. And then this was the conversation we had on Twitter yesterday about false positives and alerting systems.
But how are you profiling that as glass? Because I know from my ICE experience that we use a variety of probes. We use DHCP probes, HTTP redirect probes. I mean, there's a lot of different probes. Like his glass isn't attached to your network.
Right.
So are you just using an OUI?
No.
Or is Glass sending other pertinent information that you're picking up?
We're using some other information that we have detected and this is the point that Dave was making. That configuration of that is something which we can update dynamically.
What is that information?
I could tell you, but he'd have to kill you.
Ask, right? I mean, I'm curious. I mean, we struggle with trying to profile devices in our hospital.
Right.
We have hundreds of different biomed devices.
Yeah.
And that's really intriguing to me because the only thing is a MAC address, which frankly that you might have glass all in one range. You may not.
Yeah.
There's other things that we can use from analyzing the stream of packets.
Having promiscuous access is vital to these efforts.
Yes.
Well, and I think that sort of tangentially raises another concern, which is, okay, what happens when those drones are in 900 megahertz?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so we're out purporting to our bosses, the guys who are writing the checks, hey, we're going to deploy threat detection against drones.
This is not a comprehensive threat detection against drones. This is the Parrot AR. It's a consumer class drone. Uses its control over on Wi-Fi. Right, so it is the popular one, right? So from a volume standpoint, we've covered that, but certainly it's not governmental or specialized or any of those things. This is not comprehensive drone protection. This is a drone detector.
And with all of these things, there's a question of not relying on one single point or method of detecting all of the drones. It's a layered approach. So, this is one mechanism. We'll see other mechanisms to detect it. It's a combination.
I think what you're really showing off here isn't that the AR or the glass are any issue. It's that your detection is dynamic and you can upload it automatically. And these are just examples of that happen to be popular.
So to
you could apply that same technology to just about anything that comes out.
Yes, and
but
we
this
have
is only on the enterprise side, or is it also on the Wi-Fi analyzer side?
No, it's on the enterprise side right now.
And to take that ability to detect new things, I was just thinking as I asked the question about iBeacons, it would be great to do a passive site survey walkthrough to show the location of all of your iBeacon devices in the store, or to get information about maybe battery life. I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah.
But to dynamically update the software with a
profile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About new stuff.
Good idea.
And use it like to take it from the ooh spooky to the I want to know where all this stuff is.
Yeah, and we do have locationing. When we do have an overlay of sensors, we're able to, from signal strength and so on, get a rudimentary triangulation of where these things are. So that's how we also identify interferers, or even we've extended the spectrum capability on our sensors to identify cell phones that are doing cell phone events as well, and actually locate those. So if you have a wireless free zone in a data center or in a Department of Defense area or something like that, we're actually able to kind of help enforce wireless free.
So to George's question about how do you identify these things, I suppose the next logical question is, can we make our own signatures for things that we see? And then is there an engine or an interface to doing that, or is that something that is push only from Fluke?
It is push only. It's our tech right now. We have built kind of reverse engineer capability. So when we know a device, we can watch that device and translate that into dynamic threats. I guess it's possible that we could offer as a service, but we control the tech right now.
Okay.
Well, I have to tell you, I mean, based on that, once we installed Cisco ICE to identify devices, and one of the biggest challenges are, you can make a device look like something else. Mm-hmm. That there was pretty impressive, and obviously it's under the hood, secret sauce. But if you guys ever have an interest and you want to go down that road with other devices, let me know. I mean, I have hundreds of devices that are unknown that we have to go out and figure out, okay, hey, you're an Alaris pump, right? And you're this kind of device, and you're that kind of device. That would be a huge upsell for us.
And that's just not healthcare, right? That's other. Is that you guys observe that as a useful, potential service in other environments as well? Classifying previously unknown devices.
Yes,
Absolutely.
we have a lot in manufacturing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I work for an automotive company, and we have a lot of devices. We don't have the staff, don't have the time to identify these devices. We'll have Zigbee devices. We'll have devices specific to automotive manufacturing, and nobody knows what there are. And then people, well, what is this? What is this? Why is this not working? The line's down. What's going on?
Right.
There's some need for tools to identify what this stuff is and what's going on. I mean, how do you categorize the threat if that's the...
Yeah, we actually have both means of recognizing, both from promiscuous packet observation as well as signatures in the spectrum space. We also are actually recognizing interferers and other things from the spectrum space. So we have a couple of vectors in which we can identify devices. We should maybe consider figuring out how to service that need.